This is logical MGTOW Spock, and this video is the logical MGTOW logical psychological talk. Now, I've watched a number of videos over the week, and I've seen a number of cover points to it. The basic fact is that women will come up with anything that they think they can get away with. Like, for example, it was my ego that made me cheat on him. It was a cover, YouTube cover of that by a contract and put on by a content creator essentially. Um, women will also try to act as if what they say is more logical than what we men say, even though they know that what women have said and continuously say is more than actual. Um, but the one thing though, women have gone to the steps of non-reality. Women have also gone to the points of where that they would have the upper hand, or at least that's the way they feel, or the way they would try to appropriate it. You realize also that the feminist woman is so worried about being wrong in such a way that they try to make things sound so true, so believable, and they do this in the sense to where they know, with the fact that also they know that's a load of shit, even beyond a load of shit. But they make it sound so believable, so true, so factual, so positive that like for example, I would never cheat on you. Oh, I would never do that to you. I would never do what she did to him to you. Or I would never do that to you what she did to him. But then back in their minds they're thinking if they keep on egging us on, that they will be able to talk us into walking down the aisle, saying the vows, to where they'd be able to get at our resources a lot easier than dating and the general relationship situations and aspects. But yet, as even Mr. Hate Vicious has said, that and it rings more than true every time now too. That when they marry you, when you say your I do's and they say their I do's, right? The honeymoon is the only time you'll essentially be able to slam it. But beyond that, it would be on their time clock. It's not always on the guy's time clock. Hardly ever on the guy's time clock. The only time it's on the guy's time clock is where the woman reassociates it to where she does it exactly and she's prepared for it when you are. You men, essentially. But yet, when women do it, when women want us to the points of sexual aspects, right? They expect us to. They think that we'll just go for it right in, no question, right? There's a percentage of the time that is true, but we can also be like them, to where if the roles were reversed, just for example, this is like a generic soda, sodium free. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, that's not and it doesn't taste generic. Though, for sure. But in any case, picture this: the roles are reversed, and what the feminists want, obviously. Then they go to the points to where they want to do something sexual with you. They automatically think that guys are pigs. Anyways, they think that guys are fucking just sexual deviants and whatnot, right? And it's more than commonplace. Um, to the point to where if and when the woman wants it, they think that we'll jump to the chance, right? Anything to put our dicks in any time and chance to put our dicks in them, right? But when they don't want it, and when we do want it, logically, the only time that, like I said, the only time that will happen is when we are in the aspect of the dating relationship situation. Then yeah, the woman essentially prepares herself and sets herself to the points to where when we want it, even after we go into the aspect of in the beginning to where we get romantic with them outside the aspect of dinner and a movie type of thing, and outside the aspect of meeting in a bar, to the basic physical, emotional, psychological attraction, um, and it goes and to where like she will say that she'll try to prove to you men, you blue pilled men, you mangina white knights, that she wants it as much as you do, when really she doesn't. But she wants to keep you interested in her to the point to where she'll do it at times. Not all the time though. There are times to where the woman really likes the person, really likes us men, essentially, right? But yet they want to go to the point to where if they're not ready, they want to express it and be honest with you, or so called. But yet, when it comes to anybody else, they'll more than jump at the chance. Anybody with a deeper pocket, they'll jump at the chance. Seriously. So logically, no woman can say, "Oh, it's my ego that made me cheat on him," or "It's my ego that made me do this," or "It's my ego that made me do that." We can say the same shit about our ego, ladies, you feminist bitches. And in fact, I know we have. A number of men have used that same bullshit. And why we cheated, and why we did various other things that are also sinful and illogical and not very positive. So women want to try to play the same cards that we did and see how how it plays out for them, and see if they get a more of a, shall we say, different, shall we say, aspect or whatnot. To where even though it may not always work for us men, but it'll always work for the woman because of their genitalia, or because they've been able to lie and bullshit us men left and right, that they'll be able to do even more and much more deeper in a chronological psychological aspect, right? And they want to try to see where how far it gets them, aside from the fact that they believe in within their own right minds that it didn't get us men very far, if at all, at various points in times, right? And I know women will say, "Well, if you don't want it, then I'll I'll give it to someone else, or I'll get it from someone else." And guess what? That doesn't make the woman look good at all. Then that's just a more of a tactic to where they will try to get us men to give in. And sadly enough, it works with a certain percentage. Sometimes a moderate to variable percentage. Best way to do it is if they really and yet they don't really, and they can sound like they mean what they say, but yet they don't. But yet at times they act on it anyway. At times, and at times they don't. They just say just to make see if you believe them. This is where you, the man, gives in. The way I'd be going about it, if a woman were to say that to me for any given reason, just because she didn't get her way when she wanted it and all that, right? I'd say, hey, go for it, but don't come back here. Don't come back to me, because I'd tell her straight out. I go, if you fucking do it, then you are dead to me. And I say, don't even fucking email me, don't even text me, don't even fucking call me, don't even fucking come up to my place of residence or work in trying to get back with me and whatnot. Because it only takes one time for a woman to actually act on it, and then not without even realizing it, because the symptoms don't happen right off the fucking bat. But without even realizing it, she could be contracting a fucking deadly fucking disease known as HIV, VD, gonorrhea, various others. Besides herpes. Oh yeah, you just the woman and men can still contract those diseases, even the age-old one being herpes. It's not really that age-old, but you get my point. I hope. But basic fact is that before she, if we men were to give in, what does it really tell? What does it tell them about us? What does it tell us about ourselves? Nothing really positive either way, does it? It just makes us more, shall we say, simpish, weak, weaker than the female gender themselves, in matter of speaking. In the hormone, mostly in the hormonal sense. Do we want to play that card continuously, or should we? Just to feel better about ourselves that we get to put it in them, but yet they would go over to their friends, their female friends, and say, I talked him into doing this and that and the other, and I can probably talk him to do this and get me that and the other. That's the whole end result. They think that when we give in, that they'll be able to talk us into doing many different things for them to the points of going near bankruptcy by getting them more than extravagant, more than expensive shit. Something that they really don't need even at that point in time of their life. But do the white knights and blue pill manginas realize that? No, they will now if they watch this video or videos like this. Mm, but I know there are many blue pilled simps out there that and manginas and white knights that even if they heard it once, they'd have to experience it themselves. But yet, it's better to take one who knows and one who has experienced it for themselves, who's gone even through it to the almost to the brink of bankruptcy, even almost, or not even close to it, but almost to that point, or even maybe not that close to almost, but basically going down that pathway to the almost, right? It's better to take one's word for it instead of instead of going about it the way you feel that you could, just to find out if what is said is true or false or fictional or what have you. To the young blue pilled simps, manginas out there, white knights, I'm not bullshitting you. Many men before you have gone through this shit. That's why I mentioned. And many women have put them through the shit to the points to where a number of them have been gotten to the points of literal bankruptcy to the where the woman doesn't stay with them. The woman goes to the next idiot and repeats the same shit, but sometimes it goes even further than it may have done with the first two or the first three for that matter. But also, as I've said before, women want to go way beyond that point to where it goes to the sinful aspects of and illogical, unrealistic shit, as if they call the shots and we don't any longer. Just because they believe that they have what we want, that's attached to them, that they were born with, essentially. And that's the only thing that we want from them. Many women have said, this is the only thing they want from us. But we can control them in order to get what we want. In order for them to get, in order for us to give it to them, and or make them believe that they will get this. That's what we're born with. To in order to get it, they have to do what we want. We men can say the same thing about women. The women that think about dick from time to time, a lot more than women even will freely admit. Way more than men think about the vagina, the V, the pussy, the clit, the camel toe. That what I used to jokingly call the hairy pizza between a woman's legs. And how I jokingly called that is right in front of my own mother and my grandmother. And I was in my 20s at the time, I think, when I said that. They both laughed, seriously. But the basic fact is that there's many names for each didn't tell you. Like for example, whenever we men, of course, we know this. We men know this. Whenever we want to, whenever we have to go to the bathroom, in the sense of peeing, yeah, I gotta drain the snake, or I gotta drain the hose, or I gotta, various numbers of other aspects to it, or I gotta water the lawn, but not with an actual hose. If you get the meaning, or you know, I gotta liquefy the seed that I put in the ground. Nonetheless, though, women are not happy within themselves. Yet they try to be every day of their life. And they think that items, clothing, all sorts of different types of fashions will make them feel better about themselves. Even items like this, and I've shown this before. But really, if we men buy items, right? We buy cars. We build cars, right? A number of us build cars. A number of us, repair things or build things in the sense of electronics, right? It may make us happy, but it doesn't really make us with our life being filled. It may make our day emotionally, psychologically, for a time. in the sense that that's what jewelry does for women, and yet they expect more. That's what spending money does for them, but yet they expect to spend even more. It has been said that women have spent more money on things that they truly don't need, and couples have spent more money on things that they truly don't need, even for the woman. They don't, to the point to where they don't see the fact that they need to save up for their future and their children's future, and for their future in the sense of the retirement, because the humanity knows the fact that we humans, both male and female, are not going to be able to be out in the working world, do all the things we've done, even at the age that we are, even at current. No matter what age you are, even at current. Eventually, you will have to save up. You will have to start to save up before, and I'm talking even more than a century before that time comes, in the aspect of retirement. Because once retirement happens, it could turn out to be, and I hate to say this, but I know psycho, and I know the political system, and I know mm, the gov and various parts of the government, and what have you else. But there could come a time to where the Social Security system could easily turn out to be like the welfare system, where it's practically non-existent, or it doesn't even exist ever again, and then they come up with some other aspect of financial system through the federal and the actual government, right? But eventually it would have to build up with government and federal funding and support, right? In order for everybody to benefit from it, right? Just like the so, just like what happened with the Social Security system from its very beginnings. In order for many of the people, even the retirees and the people who became retired at various points of their lives, or who chose to retire, especially, had that system had to be getting a good more than a large base and level of support and backing and funding, in the sense, also in the sense of government federal funding, in order for everybody in the United States, being that the American people, to benefit from it, and also to live off of the income. I know many of us have heard that even the politicians have said, they mentioned Social Security like left and right, like it's gonna fall apart or gradually become bankrupt, or any other aspect, or even close to that aspect of bankrupt, or essentially out of money, right? But thankfully for many of the retirees, and be that senior citizens and the disabled and diagnosed disabled, it hasn't quite yet. Even for the mentally functional disabled. You know, I mean, various people with various different types of disabilities and what have you. So that's why we make our men say don't marry, because women have made it to the words no longer a benefit, and yet that's a sad thing, even in the eyes of Heavenly Father and our Savior, that women have gotten to that extent, seriously, to where they want things to benefit them more than they want us to be benefited. And the court system, in the sense, has benefited the woman in the divorce process when really the guy didn't do a damn thing wrong to her. Even in the aspect of behind her back, he didn't do that. He didn't do anything wrong to her, even behind her back, in the sense of adultery or cheating, or AKA cheating, essentially, or anything else for that matter. The court system needs to realize is that women have gone to the points to where they've chose to go to the points of not being happy, not truly being happy, because they don't know how to be. And they could be raised by one of the most positive aspects of families that many of the people wish they would have, right? But even then, they're not happy. They're not happy though. Right? They can put on an act all they want, but something that's within it's their indecisiveness, inadequacies, various other aspects, emotional, psychological, in which I can help them through. I know the human male female psyche, and I have helped many people, but over the time it can fade because many people don't continue to repeat that when they know they need to. Of what I like, for example, of what I've helped them through, they don't repeat it to the best of their abilities and understanding. Oh, by the way, this is part 8 of logical psychological talk of logical MGTOW. The other aspect is women have gotten to the points of, as I've said before, 2-year old, to the base of expecting shit to happen for them, no matter at any cost, at any given point and level, even the unrealistic ones, as if we're living in some sort of fantasy land when we're not, or as we're if we're living in the Mister Rogers neighborhood of make believe. Or if we're living in a larger aspect of Disneyland, wish for it and it'll come true. No matter how what level of expectation or level that of you wanting or that you feel of the need of and for anything, even on the aspect of mostly on the aspect of itemization that you really do not need, that eventually will over time build up dust and rust and whatnot, even if you don't wear it too much or even on various occasions, or even on not so often of special outings. Be that, of course, special occasions as well. Women have gone to the points to where they have gone as if they have more of a leverage higher than Heavenly Father himself, and they don't. I know it's been even said that way about us men, maybe a little less than that, really, but nonetheless, the feminist female has gone to the points of non-reality, high expectations, hypergamy aspects, and high illogical hypergamies aspects and levels, illogical fucking fantasy land expectations, instead of learning to deal with reality as it comes to them, Ex- accepting reality the way it is given to them and shown to them and prepared for them, even before and during the aspect of being living independently, and even while in a marriage, a loving marriage, a long-standing marriage, if they ever truly allowed themselves to even go to that extent, like their grandparents have allowed it to go to that extent, and a number of their parents have allowed it to go to that extent to more than lifelong, but they're too afraid to, or they don't, or they don't know what steps to properly take in order for it to happen, or they don't know exactly what should I do in order for this to happen, or what should I do for that to happen. They don't think about that. They think of only what they want and what they feel that they want, deserve, and various other things. We do the same thing, but not to the illogical, sinful levels anymore. It may have seemed that way, say many centuries before, but it's lessened over time. Women are have gone to the illogical extent of expecting and wanting things that eventually will, like I said, build up dust, rust up, and not be useful anymore, or even so damn glamorous that they'll want a replacement of something else, or even something even better and more extravagant, no matter what the price tag. Even though they know that they truly love the person, and they know the person can't truly afford it, even at that point in time. So what their solution is? I'm gonna go find someone that can get it for me. I'm gonna do even if I can't get that exact one, I'll get one like it. That ends up usually to be even more expensive. And what does daddy government do? They back them up. And what does the daddy government allow? then they so far daddy government has set aside a percentage of money for the child as well as for the mother. But what does the mother do in that process? She uses a moderate to almost large percentage of what's set for the child for herself. And what's left is for the child. And yet she expects more. Thereby, from time to time, the woman will try to get the father to pay more. But what does she do instead after that, even if she gets it right? She uses a even larger percentage that was supposed to be for the child or children on her. And whatever's left for the child or children is what is used for the child or children. And it's not and more than that times it's not that not that big of an amount that would come that would benefit the child or children in the full entirety for their schools, clothing, lunches, breakfast, dinners, their special outings that they do with their classmates, field trips, various numbers of other things, right? Do women realize this? Obviously not, because all they can think of is of one themselves. Yes, they may say that I think about my child or children. Yeah, you have to, but the one thing is that women don't do it in the most logical, realistic, or sensible way. They're the one that opened their legs. They're the one that decided to have a child. But yet, as I've said in one of my MGTOW videos, a lot of logical MGTOW spot, right, is that women have used children like pawns over the guy's head to get what the woman wants and expects. That's a sin among all sins, equal to the it's equal level of a sin like adultery is, even in accordance to the Bible. The basic fact is also the basic fact is also is that women don't really use, use common sense anymore. I can't say they haven't in the 50s. I can't say they have in the 60s or haven't in the 60s when they've become parents to start with or even before. Of course, they weren't really as shall we say illogical and unrealistic as they are now in today's day and age since the late 80s through the 1990s and through the millennium, even in the aspect of being sinful. They've been more sinful than any other man has in this planet's history. The reason I say planet because it can happen anywhere. All the illogical shit that women expect and everything can happen not only in the states. in the United States, but also can happen in Germany, everywhere, even in Canada and Alaska, Japan, Lithuania, um, Europe, France, the Hawaiian Islands. You get my drift, and you get my meaning. But will there come a time to where women are less of a sinful, illogical, unrealistic, mind, mindful, shall we say, human being, if or gender, essentially, in that sense, right? They've gone beyond the points of view of actual being considered an actual human being to the points of non-human, really, as well as way beyond the aspect of sinful and illogical and unrealistic and not really sensible at all. I know many of you blue-pilled simps and manginas and white knights may say I'm harsh, but I'm telling the truth. I don't care if you believe me or not. But guess what, though? We MGTOW members know this to be more than factual and more than actual than even the blue-pilled simp mangina white knighters want to believe, or even accept, or even acknowledge. To the point to where they will practically kneel to the fucking feminist female and give in and do so-called heroic things and for heroic things for the woman. Aside from the fact the way they were raised, we were raised the same way. But guess what? We've gone to the points to where we don't want to put up with their bullshit because women have gone from logical, sensible, realistic to the aspect of beyond that, but in the negative sense. There's points of unrealistic, sinful, illogical aspects and levels. Towards where what they do and why they do it is only makes sense to them, but it doesn't make sense to the rest of society. But the only ones that would mostly make sure that they get what they want is daddy government in the sense of the court system through the aspect of divorce. No one can logically know if the feminist female will come back to reality and logic. But when they do, it may be too late. For it is said even by a neighbor of mine that says the second coming of our Savior is coming a lot sooner than what we may think. In a spiritual sense, that's true. And you don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to. You don't have to be a churchgoer to know that, or even to believe it. But but even with that, nobody knows exactly when and how it will come into fruition or actuality. So it is logical that I'd say that the feminist female better quit with their hypergamy entitlement crap and their 2-year old child acts of expecting shit that's not logical and what they really do not need. And what I said will, and what I know will build up dust and rust out to the points of non-usefulness and non-attractiveness and all sorts of shit, right? Much like the human body itself does over time, over the course of time, actually. But there's a difference between the human body and items in that aspect, or the human being and items in that aspect. There's ways to take care of the human body and the human being to where the human body is able to stay strong and alive, but we can try to do the same thing for every number of items in the sense of jewelry or whatever the hell else, but it doesn't really bring its true accents of beauty and whatnot back now, does it? Women want to be accepted. Women want to have all these emotional psychological things that have already gotten, but they don't feel it. Obviously, they don't notice it because they don't want to notice it. Or they don't know how to notice it, or what sort of signs there are to watch for in order to actually notice, even within them, even for them directly, even if it comes from a man or another person, another acquaintance, or even their own family members at times. Believe me, the signs are there. It only takes the woman to actually really want to see them and not try to replace it with items that they don't really need. Even the aspects of extravagant items that they don't really need, or just because one person got it, they should get it. I mentioned that aspect to the point so, like, for example, it's even been voiced out on sitcoms to where one teenager was able to develop their bus line, right? But yet the other ones that haven't, wonder why they haven't developed it on the same track, on the same shall we say, timeline as that their classmate, their female classmate, of course. And they want to, and yet boys are paying attention to her versus the ones that don't have that development yet. But yet at the same time, there's a percentage of boys that will they will still pay attention to those that haven't fully developed yet, and yet they don't pay attention to that now do that. They're focused the on the very thing that they want because the other person got it, or the other number of girls got it. That right there is not logical. I mean, even when they bring it up to us parents on that aspect, then they gradually learn that they develop each female develops in their own way, their own and at various different points of their life. Not always the same as the other female. Sometimes in a percentage of time that could be okay to a certain extent, but they don't really fully accept it though, as much as they may claim or even show. And it goes even beyond that to the points where if one person has a guy, then she wants a guy, or she wants the same person. But nobody really can get the same type of person that her friend or significant other, in the sense of the same gender, gets in that aspect. As if those two aspects that I mentioned to start with are the way they feel that they are being accepted by people in society. We men go through the same shit though, don't we? But we don't go to the points of like in the sense of develop right here in the bus line. We go through other aspects of like mm, different aspects or different situations when it comes to the male gender. Yes, there's a percentage of boys that will go through. Why haven't I gotten any of those? Why haven't I gotten any hair on my chest? Or why haven't I, But then we don't go to the points to where we tie emotions into it so deeply and intensely, like the female does. In many ways, and I'm going to say this for both men as well as the feminist fucking females. In order to truly be accepted, you need to really, truly learn to truly and honestly, without any level of doubt, no matter no matter what people may think of you or even say of you, that's negative, as well as sinful at times. You need to have a better feeling about and within yourself and for yourself that will eventually accentuate around you. We don't see it, but we can feel it. We don't need items such women don't need items like jewelry, a brand new car, various types of fashions, no matter the season, no matter the part of the century. Um, Gucci shit and whatnot. I mean, fucking any number of things. Even the aspect of level, even over extravagant. Because that shows there's something within the woman that she hasn't found for herself and within herself that she has essentially not given a logical amount of time or even variable aspect of time logically that she can feel complete within herself. We men go through the same thing, but we build upon it without having to get fucking it, without having to use items to feel that we have that. We don't go into the points of dramatic shit and causing drama shit in order to feel that we're being paid attention to or that we matter, like women have done. We don't go through that. We don't go through the illogical shit like that. We don't act like two fucking 2-year old children, even though we're adults, in order to get what we want. Like women have thus far. Yes, women have acted like like 2-year old children to get what they want. And if they don't get it, then they whine, bitch, and moan, or what have you else. Or if they don't get enough attention, if they don't feel like they get enough attention when they get it logically a logical amount, like I mentioned on part 7 and 6, that they go to the points to where they go against the Bible in the sense of cheating/adultery. It has nothing to do with a woman's ego either. It has nothing to do with anything aspect of like no matter how bored she is or no matter how unfulfilled she is or claims to be especially. Or even to the points of depression, to the points where she's not feeling that she's getting enough attention even from her boyfriend, fiance, or husband, or family members for that. Even to the points if they feel that if the woman feels that they're being treated negatively, in even though it's not negative, it could be easily seen as psychologically sensible, but they view it as something that doesn't really connect with them in the learning aspect, like what parents try to do in the sense of teaching the right proper way of the way things have and why they have gone the way they have essentially in order to better understand things. And in the other aspect of it is though too is that many women, and there's been many people saying that women want to try to act like men, which basically what they want to do really is try to separate themselves from the way they were made, the way they were created, and essentially, and with the aspect of using being in touch with their emotions. They may still be in touch with their emotions, but they want to try to reassess themselves as a man. Because we men don't get fully in touch with our emotions as closely as in the majorly more than in depth as the woman does and has. Yes, we still do feel. We men still feel. We still we can still go to points of crying and whatnot else. That's the whole base of being human. But the female gone has been created in the sense that they are more in touch with their emotions than the men. And I know there are men that try to be more in touch with their emotions. That's not bad, but sometimes there's some cases to where men go a little overboard on that. That that's a learning aspect. And usually, many men can say, well, the reason why there are guys that do get a little overboard on being in touch with their emotions is because they were raised by the feminist female. That's not always the case. Granted, it might be easily said and speculated and whatnot and thought out, but that's not always the case. You could be raised by a fucking male, and where the father gets shall we say the aspect of where the child lives with the father from infancy or toddler or whatever, or even elementary school age on up, and still the same thing can still happen. As non-believable as that may seem, it can happen. And it could be reversed to where the guy or the child, be that the son to start with, can be more in the masculine aspect while living with the mother or being raised by the mother, even though she wants him to be as sensitive as the woman or in touch with with his feelings as the woman is. You know, it doesn't always revert as easily as it may be thought or even speculated. Case in point, myself here. Okay, I was raised by females, being my mother, my grandmother on her side, and her sisters, my aunts, right? And basic fact is that I turned out to be a man. I mean, I'm not anywhere closely in touch to and with my emotions and feelings as women are. I'm not. I'm not to the points where anything in the aspect of closely tied with the emotional aspects and what have you that women are. And yet, here's the other aspect to it: women can try to act like the feminist woman can act like they are going to be like macho and butch like the male gender, but really they can't really truly escape themselves from within as much as they try to, or might even try to, by trying to become like the man in any given way. It doesn't matter what way they go about it. They will always be fully and closely in touch with their emotions. But there's a number of things that they need to quit doing, and that is quit acting like a 4-year-old, like a fucking 2-year-old, to expect shit that they don't really, of getting things that they don't really need, essentially, to start with. Quit going into the aspect of unrealistic tendencies and shit like that. And if they don't get it, they go to the points of going against the Bible in the sense of a cheating or adultery and threats and trying to get the man to give in. That doesn't show the woman cares about the man. It doesn't show the woman gives a damn of what it does to the man's finance. No matter how much they claim that they really love the person, they really don't. When they go to the points of expecting shit when they don't really need any number of extravagant shit that eventually, like I said, will over time build up dust and rust out and be non-useful and be more than wasteful. And it will build, and a number of the items will build up more than corrosion and unhealthy aspects, to the points of non-healthy levels. And that can happen, ladies. It's happened more than once, and you millennials don't know this, but it's an actuality. Women can say, "No, I'll use it all the time." Guess what? That's not true, and they know. And if they don't claim to, if they don't, even if they claim that it won't, that it that it'll be happening to where they use it, they'll wear it or use it all the time. Then eventually, time comes to where they don't, or they give it to someone else, and then same the whole process still plays out. And as I've said before, you women have fucked shit over for yourselves mainly. You didn't fuck shit over for us men, even for us MGTOW men, but you fucked shit over for yourselves, feminist women. Like it or not, it's the truth. And by the way, I'm still waiting to see if Christy O'Misty and or Emily Emerson wants to talk to me and see why I said what I said about them, and I may even say more about them once if I see any other videos that they try to talk about MGTOW as if they know MGTOW when they don't, for example, or anything else for that matter. But the one thing is, I can say, as a parent, congratulations if she truly had a child. But the basic fact is, as I said before, that man that she had the child with will be taken for everything he has due to daddy government and the feminist bitch. Spinster. Feminist. Bitch. Which basically doesn't really solve a damn thing, and it won't benefit her in the long run, and it doesn't benefit the child in the long run. Guaranteed. If you want to know more, I will tell you more on part 9. This is a logical MGTOW, logical psychological talk, part 8. Have a good day. Stay strong. Live long and prosper. Stay self-confident. Stay self-assured. Free yourself from feminism. Don't give in to the feminist female. MGTOW for life.